Here's a quick introduction to our PPA product, which some of you know as Opus, but we call it PPA now, and it's up to version 2.3. PPA stands for Privileged Process Automation, or you could call it Secure Process Automation. And it's particularly suited to automating any task where you'd normally give the user or the developer access to credentials or API keys. It combines a number of technologies. The first technology that we use is secure containers, which means that your DevOps, sysadmins, developers, programmers can put the instructions for the task inside the container, but they don't need to put the API keys or the credentials in there. That container then gets dropped into the PPA appliance, and when it runs, it gets given ephemeral access to the API keys and the credentials. The other thing that it does is it takes the inputs and outputs to the task and presents them in a web-friendly, intuitive way that the user can interact with. Now that means that you can take that task and you can delegate that task to any number of users in your organisation. And it can also handle things like escalation. So if that task runs into a problem, it can then be pushed up the chain. The other technology that's in there is a whole pile of libraries that cope with common authentication systems and common infrastructure devices. So we've got AD in there, we've got Infoblox in there, we've got Cisco, and we've got things like ServiceNow so that you can update or create, update and change an incident tickets. Anyway, having given you that quick overview, let's see how it works.
Process operators like help desk agents or business staff are greeted with a set of task cards showing exactly what processes they are allowed to access. This role-based access control gives a lot of flexibility and security. When a process needs approval by someone with more experience or authority, they can approve or even provide input data via email and webhooks. This same capability means that users can reattach to a long-running task to see how it's progressing. Here's a good example of a task that would normally require a call to a help desk. The finance team often asks for a breakdown of AWS usage so they can cross-charge internal teams. This is tedious for the IT team but important to the business. This PPA task wraps the process so it's easy for finance to run, they get the information they need and never need a direct connection or API keys for AWS. This would apply to Azure or other cloud services. The finance user is happy as they've got the data, IT are happy because it's one less interruption and they get more time to get on with more interesting work. Role-based access control means you can enable occasional users, for example, auditors can use PPA to review how processes have been executed. They effectively get a recording of the entire process. Switching over to the admin's view, we can see how these roles are defined. We've got quite a number of groups here. For each user, we can see which groups they're members of and the potential risk of each membership. For example, reporting may have a low risk factor, but being able to update sensitive personal data might be something with potentially high impact if used incorrectly. Coming back to the admin view again, you can see that we can connect to multiple vaults, including Ethereum's PXM. This is where the credentials and keys are stored for connection to the systems being automated. These credentials are confined to the PPA appliance and never exposed to end users or even developers. PPA agents add a lot of flexibility. In some situations, for example, if a process needs to run a series of steps on a specific type of machine, PowerShell functions are often system dependent. Which highlights another strength of PPA. If you already have scripts that perform some or all of the required processes, they can be reused and wrapped by PPA to provide a beautiful and managed experience for end users.
So there's the features of PPA. Delegation, escalation and approval all help to drive people-driven privileged process automation. Of course, it's not just about security, it's about getting things done faster, more accurately and virtually eliminating human error. Now, PPA can be applied to loads of different applications. In fact, you saw all the libraries we had earlier. You can use it with your own code. So if you've got code that already gets most of the job done, but you'd like a better user interface, you'd like better security, and maybe you'd like it to talk to ServiceNow, then PPA is a great choice. So while you've been watching this, if you can think of an application or an issue that you think that PPA can help you with, please get in touch.